Hello and welcome to day 4 of Advent of Code. Advent of Code is a series of programming challenges throughout December. Every day you get given a 2-part challenge that you need to solve for 25 days. So there's 50 challenges in total to be solved. And this series I am challenging myself to try and use a database to solve these challenges with. I think we've got our connection up here. So we're using a container. I'm using a thing called Rancher to host our database container. It's actually not running, so I'm just going to click on that and press start to get that up and running. We're going to do a little bit of... it's all gone wrong here. Let's cancel that. It should just connect now that we've got it running. If I click on this again, yeah, there we go. It's happy. We're going to do a little bit of tidy up today, and we're going to solve day 4. I don't know which one to do first. I think we should solve day 4, and then if we've got time, we'll do some tidy up with this solution. So let's jump straight into it. So here is today's challenge. Day 4, scratch cards. The gondola takes you up. Oh, hang on. I need my reading glasses. Okay. The gondola takes you up. Strangely, though, the ground doesn't seem to be coming with you. You're not climbing a mountain as the circle of... You're not climbing a mountain. As the circle of snow island recedes below you, an entire new landmass suddenly appears above you. The gondola carries you to the surface of the new island and lurches into the station. As you exit the gondola, the first thing you notice is that the air here is much warmer than it was on the snow island. It's also quite humid. Is this where the water source is? The next thing you notice is an elf sitting on the floor across the station in what seems to be a pile of colourful square cards. Oh, hello! The elf excitedly runs over to you. How may I be of service? You ask about water sources. I'm not sure. I just operate the gondola lift. That does sound like something we'd have, though. This is the island, after all. I bet the gardener would know. He's on a different island, though the small kind surrounded with water, not the floating kind. God, this elf talks a lot. We really need to come up with a better naming scheme. Tell you what, if you can help me with something quick, I'll let you borrow my boat and you can go visit the gardener. I got all these scratch cards as a gift, but I can't figure out what I've won. The elf leads you over to the pile of colourful cards. There you discover dozens of scratch cards, all with their opaque covering already scratched off. Picking one up, it looks like each card has 2 lists of numbers separated by a vertical bar. A list of winning numbers and then a list of numbers you have. You organise the information into a table, which is your puzzle input. Okay. As far as the elf has been able to figure out, you have to figure out which of the numbers you have appear in the list of winning numbers. The first match makes the card worth 1 point, and each match after the first doubles the point value of that card. The above example, card 1 has 5 winning numbers, so these are the winning numbers, and these are the scratch card numbers. So 41 is a winning number, and it doesn't have 41. 48 is a winning number, it does have 48. 83 is a winning number, it does have that. 86 is a winning number, it does have that. And 17 is a winning number, it does have that. So 5 winning numbers, and 8 numbers you have. Wait, and card 1 has 5 winning numbers, and 8 numbers you have. Of the numbers you have, oh, I see. Right, okay, yeah, sorry. These are the... Yeah, it has 5 winning numbers. You've got 8 numbers. And 4 of them are winning numbers. Okay, that was phrased strangely. This means card 1 is worth 8 points. 1 for the first match, then doubled 3 times for each of the 3 matches after the first. Card 2 has 2 winning numbers, so it is worth 2 points. 3 is worth 2 points. 4 is worth 1. 5 and 6 have no winning numbers. So in this example, the elf's pile of scratch cards is worth 13 points. Take a seat in the large pile of colourful cards. How many points are they worth in total? Okay, reading done. Now, let's grab our puzzle input. I'm so excited about this. This seems like it's going to be actually quite straightforward. So the first thing we're going to think about is our database and how we're going to structure and model our data. So we're going to jump into our model and we're going to make a scratch card model. So we're going to make a new class in this folder. We're going to call it scratch card with a lowercase c. Yeah, that looks better. .cs. And I need to add the data in as well, don't I? Let's do that. Add a new item. It's going to be a text file, and we're going to call this, we're going to use the same naming convention, so day4-1.txt. And we are going to pop this, we're going to paste that data in there, lovely. And we're going to remember to go to the properties, right click, properties, change build action to content, and copy output directory to always. Then we won't get any issues with reading the file. Okay, fantastic. So, what does it mean to be a scratch card? Well, you've got a number. That's okay, because all of our database items have like an index, and this is starting from 1 and just going sequentially up, so it will actually handle that automatically. We have a list of winning numbers, and then we have a list of like playing numbers, like you play a scratch card to see if you've won. So I'm tempted to use that as kind of our metric. So our scratch card is a generic DB model. We've made this class earlier in the series. All this has is an ID, and that's what's going to be counting what card it is. This particular scratch card, should we parse the line? Or should we give it we should probably give it 2 sets. I reckon we should give it 2 lists. So let's say we need an empty constructor. We also need a public. We need an empty constructor because the database gets annoyed if we don't use one. We're going to have a list of, are they going to be ints or strings? We would expect them as ints, called winning numbers. Winning numbers, and we're going to have another list of ints, and they're going to be our playing numbers. So they're the numbers we're playing. Cool. So each scratch card is going to have one of those. So we're going to say winning numbers. It's trying to rename it, and I don't. It's because I haven't created the variable already, and it's trying to be clever. Okay. Let's do that for a second because it's not happy. We're going to say public list int winning numbers with a capital W. And we're going to get set, but we're going to private set because we only want our scratch card to actually set the list. And then we're going to have the same again. I copied and pasted that. I could have done Control D to duplicate. We're going to have playing numbers. These are the numbers we're actually playing. And we're going to say winning numbers equals winning numbers, and we're going to say playing numbers. It knows. Okay, that's our scratch card. This is complaining about this, but we actually need it later down the line, so I know better than it right now. We're going to ignore that it's underlined. We're going to add this to our database, so let's pop over to and see our database. Where are you, database? AOC DB context. Okay, so we're going to add a new DB set, so I'm going to duplicate that. It's not going to be a gear ratio, it's going to be a scratch card. Scratch cards, and we're going to call this day 4. I don't know. Don't need a space there. I don't know whether to I think it makes more sense to keep the tables named after their days. Day 3 was 2 parts where we had engine parts and gear ratios, and we kind of split between them. Oh, I didn't make this nullable, and nothing. Did anything complain? Maybe nothing complained. Okay, I'm going to leave that. I am going to put a question mark here though. Because sometimes I'm sure I've run into issues with this. Maybe I'm misremembering. We're going to duplicate this, and we're going to just put scratch card in here because we've templated out this code to do things for us to get the database ready. Getting this set up is really quick, right? You don't have to worry too much about that. This is our connection string. This connects us to the database. All of that is done. That's lovely. So now what we want to do is think about actually importing that data. So we're going to go over to our database importers, and this is what I want to tidy up today because we've got different importers here. And when we actually run our program in the console interface, we have to change the day here and here to decide what we're actually using. I'd like it to be a bit more clever. It's also I just find it a little bit messy. So if we have time, we're gonna think about how we can tidy that up. But for now, we're gonna copy day3 data importer. We're going to paste it into data importers. We're going to rename it to day4 data importer. Get rid of dash copy. Okay, and we're going to just jump into this file. We're going to need to rename a few things. So it's going to be day4 data importer, day4 data importer, and base brackets 4. Okay. Now, we had to do a couple of extra spicy things here. So I'm just going to delete all this code. Oh God, we did so much. What on earth? I forgot how big that importer was. God. Day three got wild. Okay. So we're going to start with our data. Get puzzle data from file. How's it know to pick the right file? Well, we tell the base class that it's day 4, and the day 4 importer goes and gets it. One thing I do need to change is that I've been putting the data for work through this as well, so I've got that stored in a separate file. Just need to change that back to data. If you've been following along, you won't need to do that though. So yeah, this deals with getting all of our puzzle data. We've got all that set up. We don't need to worry about it. So we're going to grab our data. Then what we're going to need to do is split it. So the first thing we're going to split it on is a colon and a space. If I highlight that, can you see how it's highlighted every other occurrence of that? So every single occurrence is a colon and a space. So we're going to split on that. And then once we split on that, we're going to split on a space pipe space. And that will give us our winning numbers, and it will give us our playing numbers. So let's do that. We're going to say var numbers equals data.split. And we're going to, it wants a capital S. Does it? No. Oh, because this is a, sorry, we need to go through each equals data. Can we do dot for each? Dot select? We could do dot select, right? Oh, we could do this using link. Let's do this. Dot to list. I need a dot. Dot to list. Then we're going to say dot select, and we're going to select our line of text, our single line from that file, and we're going to say line dot split on colon space, and that's going to give us this and this. So we're going to have our numbers in one half and our thing in the other. So we're going to want to actually take the thing at position 1. Then we're going to want to split that again. And we're going to want to split that on space pipe space. So that's going to return a that's going to return what we want. So that's going to return a let's call to array, I guess, because we know everything's always going to have two. It's going to have two things in the array because we split it on the colon space, and then we select the thing at first position, which is this, and then we split on space pipe space. So then we'll be left with two things in our array, that and that, for each line going down. So then what we're going to do is we are going to parse our numbers. I kind of feel like writing an extension method to convert my list of... I kind of need to split these again into... split them on the space. But some of these have multiple spaces. So we'll need to handle that as well. I think, maybe. I don't know if we can parse that. So we're going to say var winning numbers equals numbers at position 0. And at position 1 is going to be playing numbers. Okay, it's not happy with this. Why isn't it happy? IEnumerable string. Ah, okay, I didn't end this line with a bracket. Forgot a bracket there. Line dot split, a position 1 dot split. Okay, that's looking good. Winning numbers. So I reckon. Okay, hang on. That's gonna fill. This is gonna be a list of lists. So then, once we've selected that, we want to then split that even further. So then we want to, maybe we're trying to do too much at once there. So I've confused myself. It's a reasonably simple thing. I've confused myself. For var, I'm going to say var something in numbers. Numbers. I'm going to call this scratch card numbers, I think. Scratch card numbers, and we're going to say for each var number type in scratch card numbers, and then we're just going to pop these inside that. Okay. And we just need to parse these now. So this needs to be number type, not scratch card numbers. Number type 0, number type 1. And we want to... Number type 1 is a string array. I kind of want to run... So if I did dot split... Okay, hang on. Let's do a dot replace. There's only ever single or double digit numbers here. I'm just worried about the double spacing here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say dot replace, and we're going to replace any occurrences of double space with a single space. Then we're going to split on the space. I'm sure that will be absolutely fine. I'm going to put each action there on a separate line just to make it easier to read. Dot replace, dot split, and then we're going to do that for the bottom one as well. But then we want to, once we split them all, we want to convert that into a list of integers, an integer array. And I think we can do that in like kind of a cool way, maybe not a cool way, but like a useful way, maybe not even a useful way. But I'm going to add a new folder to my puzzle solutions, and I'm going to call it extensions. And we're going to add a new class, and it's going to be called array extensions.cs. Okay, we're going to call this static public class, and we're going to write a static method. So we're going to say static, we're going to return a list of integers. Public static int, and we're going to call this convert to int array. And we're going to have this IEnumerable array. It's like predicting what I want to say. I don't know whether I want it to be... An IEnumerable is like a generic type. This might work. We might have to come back in and change this to a string array. Let's give it a go. Okay, so we're going to say for each var item in array, we're going to say var int item equals int dot parse, and we're going to parse item. Oh no, it's not an IEnumerable string. It's not an IEnumerable int. It's an IEnumerable string. Okay, that's happy. and then we're going to say we need a we need to know how big the integer array is. So we're going to say var result equals new int array, and its size is going to be array.count, which is the size. Do I need to do count like that? Sure enough. Sure enough. Okay, right. Then we're going to say result dot append, add, push, in item. Lovely. Then we're going to return result. Perfect stuff. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to actually call this in this kind of chaining way. So we're splitting it, and then we should be able to say dot convert to int array. You can see it there. Puzzle solutions dot extensions. That's what we just made. So if I choose that and put brackets there, that's going to convert all of our numbers into integers. And if I hover over this, you can see that now winning numbers is saying it's an integer. If I just take these two lines and pop them down here, we can see playing numbers, it's currently calling it a string array. If we pop convert to int array, dot convert to int array, it's going to be a integer array. Okay. So now we've parsed our numbers. Now what we need to do is create our scratch card. So we're going to say var scratch card equals new scratch card. And it takes, what does it take first? Let's go to the second constructor. Winning numbers first. Winning numbers, and then it's going to take playing numbers. Is it happy with that? It's not happy with that because it's expecting a list, but we're giving it a array. So at the very end, we're just going to call to list. Convert those to a list, and that to list. Lovely stuff. Okay, then we make our new scratch card. Then we just need to add our scratch card to the database. So, is there any point? Is there any point? We're going to need... we might need to do this in the model, actually. We might need to take this code and do it elsewhere. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to need to do this in the scratch card. And the reason for that is, I think what we're going to need to do is save the string in the database and then pull it out into an array when we actually want to work with it. So we're going to actually say number type 0 here. So that's the winning numbers. I'm going to say number type position 1 here. And then we're going to add it to the database. I'm just going to write myself a little note, add to DB, because we actually want to just jump into the scratch card itself. And what we're going to do instead is we are going to do something here. So we're going to have our public string, and it's going to be, what's it going to be? It's going to be called winning number string. Get private set. And we're going to have our playing number string. I've already got way carried away with this. We could have solved this by now, but I'm just like, it's gonna set good foundations, good habits for the more complex ones. So instead of passing a list, we're going to pass in strings. So I'm going to pass in string winning. I didn't need to delete that. I could just have got rid of that. So let's call that a string, and let's call that a string. Lovely stuff. And we're going to say winning number string now. Playing number string. Playing numbers string. Playing number string. I don't know. And then we're going to say, we're going to create a method. Public void populate lists. And this is where we're going to do our thing. We're actually going to do the replacing before we pass that in. So we're going to take that and we're going to put it into our importer. Number type 0 dot replace. So any double spaces will be replaced with a single space. We're not going to worry about that in the scratch cards. I'm going to get rid of that here as well. Instead of number type position 0, we're going to say winning number string. And instead of var winning numbers, we're going to say just winning numbers equals winning number string dot convert to int array. Now it doesn't know what puzzle extensions are, so we're just going to tell it. And then this is going to be, we can do the same thing here. So we're going to say winning, nope, we're not. We're going to say playing numbers equals playing number string. Position, not position, we don't need a position. Dot split on a space, convert to int array to list. Why am I doing this? Mainly because it's not very nice storing a list in a database. So I'm going to store the strings instead, and we're going to ignore the lists, and that should all be fine. So one thing I do want to do is, or one thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to look at ignoring those two things, because we don't want to, we want it to like not include the lists when it's doing this. So we're going to need to go back to the database. When we create the scratch card, we're actually going to need to do another thing. So we're going to have to say model builder. So this is in our database context, model builder dot entity, and we're going to say scratch cards, and then brackets, and on a new line, just to make it tidy, I'm going to say ignore, and we're going to say scratch card. And this particular property on the scratch card called scratch card dot winning numbers. I'm going to duplicate this line, and I'm going to do dot playing numbers. And this is going to tell it that you don't need to like add these to the database. You can just ignore these. These are for the code. These are not for storing. Then we can populate the list with this method. So we're going to add the string here, and then when we want to pull those strings out, we can populate the lists. We've got a scratch card here. Okay, it's saying non-nullable. These want to be nullable, so we're going to pop question marks on them because we populate them later down the line. This is private set. We're setting them privately. We're calling this method. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now what we're going to do, we're going to come over here. We're going to add this to the database. So we need a database context. We're going to say using var db context equals new AOC 2023 db context. We're going to say db context dot add scratch card. It knows. And then after this, we're going to say db context dot save changes. It knows. That's our importer done. So now when we run this, where's our program? When we run this, we're going to run the day 4 data importer. We're not going to worry about puzzle day yet. I think it's Control KC yet to do a bulk thing. Day 4 data importer, we're going to import, and that's going to push the database. So let's try that and see if it works. If everything has gone swimmingly, then that should be fine. Let's run this. It's importing. It's hit an error. Cool, no worries. Occurred while saving invalid object name day 4. Cool. So I did something silly, so I need to say dot day 4 question mark dot add. I think that's the issue. Let's restart. So I wasn't telling it what table to save this to. Has it hit the same error? Day 4 dot add. Is there a day 4? Did I call it day 4? Did call it day 4. It's all set up. That's all set up. Ah, I know what I've not done. I've not done the ensure created and the ensure deleted that we've done on the other importers. So if I go back to, this is why I need to add some extra structure. make it so that we don't have to do this every time, because at the moment it's a bit clunky and it's leading to errors like this. If we day 3 is a bad example. If we go to day 2, you can see that we actually tell it to delete everything and recreate everything before we do anything. We're going to do that here. We're going to rip all this out in a little bit, but I'm going to do that here. Also, because I use db context as a variable name throughout this, it makes copying and pasting code really easy, because it's always db context no matter where I am in the program, which is nice. So we're going to run this, and it's finished importing. We're going to jump over to our database, and we're going to refresh this, and we're going to have a look in tables. We've got day 4 there, lovely. We're going to select the top 1000, and wha-bam! All with a single space by the looks of it. Yep, looking good, looking good. We've got our winning number string and our playing number string, and our playing number string are the long ones, winning number strings are the short ones. This looks like it has worked perfectly. That looks like it's got a little bit of white space at the start. If I was to, can I right click on that? Hello? I can't edit it quickly. Looks like we just might need to do a little bit of trimming on that. So let's jump back over to here when we make our scratch card. So when we, when is it? It's when we're saving it to the database. So here, dot replace, and then after that I'm going to call dot trim, and I'm going to do that on this one too. And we're going to run the importer again, and what I'm expecting to see is that row 6, this 7, won't be bumped in by 1. It's quite a small detail, but it's important. Got to get the data right, otherwise it will have a big impact on our program as we go forward. We don't want to be hitting errors where it's just because of a silly space that we could have dealt with. Okay, so that's done that. Let's rerun this query by pressing run again. Yeah, sure enough, look, that 7 is pressed much further in. That's looking good. That's looking really good. All the data's kind of jumped back a little bit. Okay, fantastic. We're in a good position to solve this bad boy now. So let's come over here. We've imported our data. We don't need to import it again right now. So I'm going to comment out these bits of code. Again, Control KC, and that will be commented out. We need to actually make our puzzle. So we've got a day 3 puzzle here. I'm going to make a brand new day 4 puzzle. So I'm going to go to add, new item, class, and this is going to be day 4 puzzle.cs. And this is going to be a public class, and we're going to say public day 4. Oh wait, do we do that? We don't do that. We just need solve part 1 and solve part 2. What we do need is to tell it about the interface that we want though. So we're going to come up here, we're going to put a colon, and we're going to say I puzzle day. And that is going to throw an error. It's going to be like, you don't have solve part 1 or solve part 2. We're going to press Control dot, press enter, boom. Solve part 1, solve part 2, the 2 methods that we need for any puzzle. I'm going to return an empty string on this. We're going to fill that in later, but for right now we're not going to do anything. And for this one, we're going to return an empty string too, and we're going to get to work on putting something in that string. In fact, preemptively, I'm going to put $, and some curly brackets, and we're going to put our variable right inside these curly brackets there. Okay, how do we solve part 1? Well, first we need to access the database. So using var db context equals new AOC db context. We're going to say db context dot day 4. We're going to convert it to a list. We're going to so this is going to be a collection of scratch cards, right? And we need to operate on these scratch cards. So we need to dot select our scratch card. I'm really conscious that I'm not spelling scratch card right, but I think I am. Scratch card. I think because the C comes after it. That's wriggling my brain a little bit. Scratch card dot. And then we're going to call our method. What did we call our method? Populate lists. Dot populate lists. So every scratch card we want to call populate list just to make sure that those lists are created. The type arguments cannot be inferred from the usage. Try specifying the type arguments explicitly. I might rework this very slightly. Instead of returning void, I might return scratch card, and I might just say return this. And so when you say populate list, you get the object back. That just means that when we use select, we're actually going to get, it's going to know what it's getting back, right? Void, it's like, oh, I've got nothing. That will then mean that we've got a list of scratch cards again. I've explained that really poorly, and I apologise. We're going to go now to, once we've selected it, we've populated the lists, we then want to go for each scratch card. So each scratch card that we have is going to have some winning numbers and some playing numbers. And we could probably write a method here, actually. We could probably write a method here. In fact, we might not. Do we want to write populate lists? We could populate lists while we do this. Right. We're going to say public scratch card. We're gonna use the same kind of thing. We're going to return a scratch card, and we're going to say something like check winning numbers. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to kind of filter out all of our playing numbers that only match the winning numbers. So we're going to say playing numbers dot where, and then we're going to say number winning numbers dot contains number. So if our number in playing numbers is contained inside winning number, then we want to keep that. We're going to assign this to a variable. Var winners equals that. Lovely. It's complaining a little bit. This could be null. It could be null. It could be null. What should we do? First thing we'll do actually is we're actually just going to say void on this, and we're just going to call populate lists right at the start. So we've got our lists, okay? We know because we've populated the list, we know that this isn't null. So I'm going to put an exclamation mark there. I'm going to put an exclamation mark there. That just tells the code that, hey, it's cool. We've handled it. It's all good. So I'm going to put dot where on a new line because I can't handle it being on one line. Number, if winning number dot contains our number in our playing numbers, then it's one of our winners. Okay. What does the actual thing want us to do? Of the numbers you have, 4 of them are winning numbers. This means card 1 is worth 8 points. 1 for the first match, then doubled 3 times for each of the 3 matches after the first. So this is powers of 2. Okay, so we start at 1, which is, I think, the power of anything to the power of 0 is 1. I think. Might just check that. 8 to the power of 0 is 1. Fantastic. Yeah. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. So that's 1 point. To the power of 1 is itself. So if I had 2 cards, 2 to the power of 1 would give me 2. If I had 3 cards, then 2 to the power of 3 would give me 4. And then this was 4 cards, 2 to the power of 4 gives me 8. Is that right? Or is that 2 to the power of 3? I'm getting confused. I've confused myself. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. So we need to do n minus 1s. However long it is, we need to minus 1 and then do that to the power of 2. So that's our winners. We're going to say var result equals, in fact, we're not going to return a scratch card here. We're going to return an integer. Var result equals, and it's going to be, what's it going to be? It's going to be, we need to do to the power of. How do you do to the power of in C#? I don't know if I've ever needed to do that. Power of in .NET. How do I calculate power of in C#? Blah, 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 blah. Math.pow? Great. Lovely. You're looking for the static method. Okay, 2 people have said it. It cannot be wrong. Stack Overflow is your best friend. Never feel bad for using Stack Overflow. Math.pow. We're going to raise 2 to the power of winners.length count minus 1. 2 to the power of winners.count minus 1. If we only have 1 winner, that means we're going to have 1. We're going to take 1 away. We're going to have 0. 2 to the power of 0 is going to give us 1, which is how many points we want. Perfect system. We're going to return result. Okay, we're not going to return this anymore. We're avoiding this. Lovely. That's not an integer though, is it? What is it? A double. Because math to the... Why would you get a double when you... Okay, fine. Fine. I don't think we need a double. So, can I integerify that? Yeah, I can. In brackets at the front. It'll work it out. It's fine. The numbers we're using, we can't have like 1,000 matches. So we can never do like 2 to the power of 1,000. So we don't need to worry about it being double precision. We don't need to worry about it being a really large number. An integer is fine. Could have used double. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. It might come back to bite me. Probably won't. So we're gonna select, instead of saying populate lists, in fact, populate lists, sorry. You thought I was gonna solve it, and I'm back. This can actually be private now. So we don't want to expose that. So now that I've done that, if I come over back to the puzzle, you can see this underlined, and it's like, populate lists, never heard of it, because it's private now. So we're not gonna use populate lists, we are gonna use check winning numbers. Okay. So check winning numbers, actually, that's a really bad name for that method. Let's go back to the scratch cards. We're going to look at this. What's it called? How many points are they worth? So we're going to call it, we're going to right click, we're going to rename this, we're going to call it calculate points. Calculate points? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You can overthink these things. Because I renamed it there, it's actually renamed it here as well, because I did it, I right clicked and pressed rename. I think you can press Control RR as well if you're so inclined. We then want to sum all of these, I think, do we? How many points are they worth in total? We sure do. So we're going to say .select, and then down here we're going to say .sum, and that's going to add them all up. We're going to say var result equals dbcontext.day4, day4 question mark, because it's not sure if it exists, even though it definitely does. We've talked about this before. It's just a quirk, and we're golden. We're absolutely golden. I am 99% sure that when we press run on this, we're going to get a solution for part 1. Let's go to our program. We don't need the importer. We do need day 1 though. Let's get rid of these. We're going to say a new day 4 puzzle. I'm going to say puzzle day to solve part 1. Yep, that's all good. Let's run it. Let's see if we get any errors. We get no... Oh, we do get an error. It was too easy. Arithmetic operation resulted in an overflow. It does need to be a double. Okay. I hold my hands up. I did say that would be a problem. That could be a problem. I didn't think there'd be enough data there. I guess powers are crazy. If there's anything I should have called this video, powers are crazy was what I should have called it. We're going to make this a double here. We're not going to cast it to an integer. And because of the way we're doing this, we're summing them, then we're returning the result as a string. It being a double is absolutely fine. It's not going to have an impact on anything else. Let's run this again, see if we get the same. No, we don't. We do get a big old number though. Let's copy that. Let's come over to Advent of Code. Whew, here we go. Oh, it's too high. Am I... Okay. 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 So, 2 things I want to check. First of all, I want to check that I am getting the correct matches. And the second thing is I want to check that I'm getting the calculation. I was so certain that was going to work. So egg on my face right there. Big time egg. Let's go over to our scratch card. Winning numbers. So winning numbers is this. We populate our lists. Winning numbers dot contains number. So this is interesting. I think what we should do is we should just do a quick sanity check, and we should write out, if I can spell. Sure enough, I can. We should write out our. I want to know. I want our winning numbers. I want our playing numbers, and I want our winners. And I want to write them out, and it's going to be. I always get sidetracked. Okay, we're going to write a little extension. We're going to do this as a list. Are these all lists? Where are we? Scratch card? Is that a list? That's an IEnumerable. That's a list. That's a list. Let's do it as a list extension. So adds class list extension. Okay, we're going to say public static. I should have called this list extensions. Let's do this. Spider says, I think math.power gives a double because of negative powers existing. That's a great point. I didn't even think about negative powers. I don't want to think about negative powers. List extensions. So we're going to say public. I've already public static. We're going to say list of type T. Can I do that? No, actually, public static void. I don't want to do anything. I'm going to say print list, and it's going to be of type T. I think I need to do it like that. List T. Cool. We're going to say this list T. Called list, and we are going to say for each var item in list console.write item, and we're going to just pop this in some quotes. No, we're not. We're going to delete it. We're going to pop that like that. We're going to say item, and we're going to put a space after it so that they're spaced out, so we can see everything nice and clearly. And that's just going to print our list. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come over to our scratch card, and we are going to say, in fact, could I make this more generic? Sure enough, surely I could. I could make this an IEnumerable, and everything else is the same. So that's fine, it's happy. Print, instead of print list, I'm just going to call it print. This is no longer list extensions. This can live in array extensions. Was also IEnumerable, right? Ah, this is getting muddy already. Goodness sakes. Okay, let's take this. Let's cut this. Let's come over here. Array extensions. Let's rename array extensions to IEnumerable extensions. You're renaming a file. Yes, I am. Would you like to perform a rename in this project of all references? Yes, I absolutely would. Cool. So we've got ourselves a print method. It's just going to print everything out to the line. It's just going to make it so much easier debugging. List extensions can go. Sorry, you were not long for this world. Now we're going to say winning numbers dot print. Do I need to say, will it get the type? Yeah, it will. It knows. So I don't actually need to give it the type argument because it puts that in for me automatically. So here we gave it a type argument. We said it could be an integer, could be a string, could be a double. This is just going to put it in for us, which is fine. So winning numbers.print, we're going to say do I want print? I kind of want them just to return a string so I can put them in place. Let's copy this. I like this idea. It's useful, but I really like this idea. Stringify, and we're going to say we're going to return a string. We're going to say for each var item in list, we're going to say var result. I always use the word result equals string.empty. We're going to say result plus equals item space. We're going to say return result.trim, and that means if we have an extra white space on the end, it will just get rid of it. So now we have a stringify method that we can call. So we can come over to our scratch cards. We can say console.writeLine, and we're going to do $, and speech marks and curly brackets, and we're going to pop in winning numbers dot stringify. So there are winning numbers. Winning numbers exist, please. It's okay. We're going to say winning numbers colon winning numbers dot stringify. Lovely. We're going to copy that. We're going to paste that. Right. Playing numbers equals playing numbers dot stringify. We're going to say matches is winners. We don't need the exclamation mark there. Now, because winners isn't an IEnumerable, this still works because we made it generic, so that's great. I'm going to do an extra console.write at the start, and we are just going to print out the ID. So ID, and then we're going to say ID. Just so we can keep track of where we are. I don't think there's any need to put another space or anything in. Okay, cool. So we're just going to eyeball this. We're going to see if this is actually doing what we want it to do. What is this? I reckon my extension method is bad. I reckon that's what it is. I'm getting way sidetracked here. If this ever ends, I'll be impressed. Return. I wonder if putting in the argument... Oh no, the argument's implicit. It's there, integer. Okay, but we got a big number. We got a number out at the end. Did I keep the terminal window open? Yeah, I did. There it is. We got a number out at the end, right? What was the number? Come back. Hello? Here it is. We did get a number. Because they're all zeros, they all match. Because they're all zeros, they all match. Okay. This is interesting. Split, convert to int array, dot to list. Maybe this is where it's going wrong. I think we just got bad data. That's awkward. Okay, cool. Cool. So we're splitting on that. Wait, but this is in the database. It's in the database correctly, right? If we run this, they're in there. Cool. So when we populate these are here. So it's actually, when it comes to this is where we're going wrong. Convert to int array. I reckon we're hitting an issue. This.IEnumerable string array. Result equals new int array.count. For each var int.parse. It's parsing them. It's parsing them correctly. Let's just do a console.write here. Console.writeLine. we're going to print out a couple of things. We're going to print the integer version and the string version. So string is item, and int is int item. Okay, let's run that. Okay, so it's parsing that correctly and it's returning the result. So that's all fine. That's working. Then we're going to come over to that can go. Don't need that up. We don't need that up. Come over to our scratch cards. Let's pin this because we need this a lot. Split, convert to int array, and then convert it to list. What if I were just to do winning numbers dot print? Let's do that. Let's try running that again. There we go. Okay. So winning numbers, every time it's printing as zeros. Convert to int array is working. Maybe it's just the way I'm trying to print them out. Let's console.writeLine winning numbers dot first. So the very first value in each thing. I forgot a semicolon. Yep, sure enough. Let's run this again. Let's run it and it actually works. There we go. That's a 0. That's so weird. Wait, what am I... In my extensions, I'm appending the int item. It's a new int array. This is bamboozling me. I'm bamboozled. Why am I getting zeros? That makes no sense. Because we're not getting zeros here. We append it to the list. It comes back to us in our scratch cards. And then, inexplicably, it's a 0. We wrote the first number, right? Console.writeLine. So every now and then there should be just one number. Okay, it's time to crack out the debugger. So we're going to pop a breakpoint. If I click over here, just before playing numbers, on playing numbers there, and we're in debug mode. If I press play now, it's going to hit this. Okay. Right. We want locals, I think. Playing number string. Yep. Winning number string. Yep. Lovely. Here. Winning numbers. Count equals 10. They're all 0. Why are they all zeros? Okay. Let's go into playing numbers. So we're going to press step into. Yep. Convert to int array. Right. Step into is F11. Right. So we've got our array. We've got our result. They're both 25 in length. Okay. Int item. Item is 94. That gets converted to 94. And then it gets added to result. And result... Oh. Result.append does not do what I thought result.append did. That's where our issue is. Okay. What does append do? Appends a value, returns a new sequence that ends with that element. Oh, right. Right, that's it. That is it. I can't believe that. We're going to make a new list. We're going to say result.add in item. We're going to return result dot to array. Keep it consistent. Now it's just going to work perfectly. I've put in a load of debug code. So I'm going to get rid of that console. I can't believe that. It was returning the new value, but I thought it was just updating it in place. Goodness sakes. Let's get rid of this breakpoint. Let's get rid of all of these. I did write some cool extension methods though. They might pay off later down the line. Although I feel like debugging actually paid off way more than just printing stuff to the console. Sometimes it's nice just to have a sanity check with the console though. See that things are working. Okay, how have we got 0.5? There's no way this can be decimal. Surely. If we're dealing with dealing with whole numbers. Did I change something? How is it saying that's the answer? I mean, not a mathematician. Could be wrong. Could be the answer. Don't think it's the answer. No, it's definitely not the answer. Why would it be 0.5? Why did I even try that? Okay, so we're almost there. Populating the list. Play numbers dot where number winning numbers contains number. Okay, so we get each number. If winning number contains that number, we keep it. All of those playing numbers. Our result is winners dot count. So winners is a enumerable. Count returns the number of elements in the sequence. We -1 from it, and we do 2 to the power of that. Math.pow returns a specified number x raised to the power y. X comes first, then y. So 2 to the power of whatever this is. We return the result. When we calculate the points in day 4 puzzle, we select scratch cards, scratch card.calculate points, we return the result. I wonder whether we've I'm genuinely bamboozled as to how we've managed to get a decimal. Let's try. It's got a decimal. How have we got a decimal? Okay, it's debug time. Let's jump here. Let's put this here. What I want to do is I want to see each result, and I want to see which result is giving us a negative number. So we can see here this is 512. So we're going to press continue. 512, continue. 64. Can I press F5 to continue? Yep, 512. 512, 32, 8, 512, 256. Cool, so these are all powers of 2. 0.5. 0.5. Because it was 0 and it went backwards. So we should only do this if winners.count is greater than 0. Otherwise, return 0. So we're going to do this. We're going to say return result, return winners.count. We could save ourselves a calculation. Let's not do it there. Let's do it here. If winners, I can't, that's such a rookie error. Oh, goodness sakes. If winners.count is greater, is less than or equal to 0, then we're going to return 0. Okay. The debugger. This episode should have been called The Power of the Debugger, but it wasn't. I still got my breakpoint in. Let's get rid of that. Let's restart the program. Here we go. Okay. I reckon I could have just taken away the 0.5 and got the right answer. Wabam! Okay, we did it. I'm slightly less elated. I was like, when I first put the number in, when we got it wrong the first time, I was ready to like cheer and whoop. Now it's like, oh, great. Anyway, on to part 2. Just as you're about to report your findings to the elf, one of you realises that the rules have actually been printed on the back of every card this whole time. There's no such thing as points. Instead, scratch cards only cause you to win more scratch cards equal to the number of winning numbers you have. Oh god. Specifically, you win copies of the scratch cards below the winning card equal to the number of matches. So if card 10 were to have 5 matching numbers, you would win 1 copy each of cards 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Copies of scratch cards are scored like normal scratch cards and have the same card number as the card they copied. So if you win a copy of card 10 and it has 5 matching numbers, it would then win a copy of the same cards that the original card 10 won. Cards 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Okay. This process repeats until none of the copies cause you to win any more cards. Cards will never make you copy a card past the end of the table. This time the card example goes differently. Okay. This Okay. My brain is whirring. Once all of the originals and copies have been processed, you end up with 1 instance card 1, 2 instances of card 2, 4 instances of card 3, 8 instances of card 4, 14 of card 5 and 1 of card 6. In total, this example pile of scratch cards causes you to ultimately have 30 scratch cards. Process all of the original and copied scratch cards until no more scratch cards are won. How many do you end up with? Okay. So, day 4 puzzle, part 2. We've got our scratch cards. They're in a database. They're in order. They all have their own ID. And we can treat them as that. So the winning numbers of a scratch card, the amount of winning numbers of a scratch card so we want this. We actually want this. Let's make this its own method. So we're going to say public int, and we just want the count of matches. So we want to say get matching numbers. I should have called it matches, not winners, in the method below. But actually, I'm about to do that here. So let's take that, let's paste that here. Let's say var matches equals, because I don't actually need the winners themselves, do I? No. So get matching number count, I think we're going to call this. Get matching number count. So when we get the matching number count, we first need to populate the lists, and then we find our matches, and then we return our matches. Matches equals get number count, and instead of winners.count, we're ooh, hello. Not matches, matches.count. Return matches.count, and then instead of saying winners.count, we can literally just say matches and matches. Okay, so that simplified this a little bit, So we can now get how many matches we have. Then what we want to do is just keep track of that. We just want to add them, right? So this kind of explodes a little bit, doesn't it? So card 1 is 4 matching numbers. So you win 1 copy of each of the next 4 cards, cards 2, 3, 4, and 5. Your original card 2 has 2 matching numbers, so you win 1 copy of cards 3 and 4. Your copy of card 2 also wins 1 copy of cards 3 and 4. This kind of feels like we just need it. Yeah, okay. Get matching number count. We can get that. So scratch cards in the example, scratch cards 2 has 2 matching numbers. And so we have the original scratch card 2, and then we win a copy of cards 3 and 4. So we gain 2 additional. And then we need to know how much they are. So I guess what we want to do is we want to do a first pass through and figure out how many each one has. So I think what we want is a property on every scratch card that is matching numbers, right? So we're just going to have a public int called matching numbers. Get private set, probably, I think. Yeah, Spider totally got the solution to where I was going wrong in part 1. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Winners count could not be 0, so 0.5 was coming from 2 to the power of -1. Yeah, yeah, I totally goofed that. Some things you just don't think about, and that was one of them. -1. So matching numbers here, we're gonna say matching numbers equals matches.count, and then we're going to return matching numbers. So we're going to store that on this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to zip through everything. In fact, I'm going to just copy this whole thing. We're going to zip through everything, and we're going to say select, and instead of calculate points, we're going to say, I think it was like get matching number count. Yeah, scratch card.get matching number count. Get matching number count actually returns an integer, so this is actually going to be a list of integers, which is not what you want to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to we are going to say something like populate matching number count. Oh, hello, didn't want to do that. And we're going to use the scratch cards, and instead of returning matching numbers, we're going to return this because we don't actually need it. We just need the scratch card with the updated property. We're going to select that scratch card. Did I renamed this to populate, didn't I? Populate. So that's going to go through, and every scratch card is then going to know how many additional scratch cards it needs. So then we can just go through. So, oh my goodness, what did I just press then? Okay, let's not do that again. So that's not the result. These are, let's just call them scratch cards. So we currently have a list of scratch cards that know how many matches they have. We need a total. We're going to set that to 0. We need to go through each scratch card. For each, I'm just going to say like var. Oh, I'll say the whole thing. Scratch cards in scratch cards. we're gonna need to loop. So first of all, total plus, right? We got one. That's a scratch card, so that counts as a scratch card, I think. Yeah, that's an instance of a card. Just keep waving my finger. This needs to be a capital C. Then what we want to do is we want to go through however many scratch cards we have. So we're going to say for var I equals 0, I is less than scratch card. I is... Ooh, hang on. Let's be clever about this. Let's say I equals scratch card dot ID. I is less than scratch card dot... This is scratch cards. It's not scratch with a capital C. What am I doing? Scratch cards may be null here. Can I just put a question mark? No. No, maybe I can. You happy? No, you're not happy. Exclamation mark? Yeah, okay. It's not going to be null. We know it's not going to be null. This is purpose built for the fact that it's not null. So we want to start the scratch card ID. However, the ID starts at 1, and all the scratch cards are going to be in a list where they are starting at 0. So we're actually going to need to go back 1. So we're going to say ID minus 1. I is less than scratch card dot ID add scratch card dot, what did we call it? Count matching numbers. Is that an integer? Sure is. Okay, matching numbers. I plus plus. So we're going to go, if it's the ID 2, we can go from 2, and if it's got 3 matches, we're going to go 2 add 3 is 5. So we can go 2, 3. Wait. If the ID is 2, it's going to be at position 1 in the array. So we can go from 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to go from 1 to 4. But scratch card .id is 2. 4 is less than 5. That work, yeah, because it's less than. I don't think we need to do anything with a 1. If we get this wrong, that's probably where the issue is. It's probably in this loop. I've got it off by 1 somewhere. Now here, total is going to plus equals our scratch cards at position I dot matching numbers. Why don't you like that? Why don't you like that? Have I misspelt that? Scratch cards, you're a list. At position I dot do I need to... I should probably convert this to a list. I'm treating it like a list. Let's just... Wait, I did do... maybe I need to do to list at the end as well. Ugh. Yeesh. That's not great. Is that... Yeah, now you're happy, aren't you? Okay. Matching numbers. So we're adding the amount of matching numbers that scratch card has because... so in this example here... your original card 2 has 2 matching numbers, so you win 1 copy of each of cards 3 and 4. Your copy of card 2 also wins 1 copy of cards 3 and 4. So card 2 in this example, its matching number would be 2. It's got 2 cards that it's got 2 matching numbers. So we're going to add that 2 to the total because that's an additional 2 cards that we get. So we're going to go through and we're going to add those matching numbers. And then we're going to return total. It can't be that easy. What have I forgotten? Du-du-du-du. What have I forgotten? I don't think I've forgotten. The trouble with writing perfect code is sometimes you don't realise how perfect it is until you sit back. It's not that perfect. It's not that perfect at all. Okay. First things first. Get matching number count. Ah. Okay. So calculate points. In fact, we're not even running solve 2 yet, so I don't know what I was expecting to happen then. I got carried away. I got way carried away. Once again, egg and my face are in alignment. Right, we're going to populate matching number count. Then we've got matching numbers stored, so we're then going to say matching numbers. Okay, this method's changed so much and we don't even need it anymore, but hey, it's all good. Right, we don't need to capture what this returns. We don't care about it. We'll just discard that. That's all fine. What are you unhappy with? That, fine. We know about that. Okay, now it's going to run. Invalid column name. Oh. We've added a column, haven't we? We've added matching numbers, but we haven't updated the database, and it's like, what on earth? Do you know what? It kind of makes sense to populate this here, doesn't it? Doesn't it? So it's pre-populated. Doesn't make any difference. Let's leave it here. In our program, we want to rerun the importer because actually we've changed up how the database works somewhat. We want our puzzle day to solve part 1, but we also want it to solve part 2. I'm not going to get around to doing the upgrades that I wanted to do. Might have to do that on a separate, like a day 4.5 or something. Okay, let's run this. We're going to get 2 answers now. Boom. Okay. I thought it seemed low, but that is 4,000 scratch cards. It's not points anymore, it's how many cards. 4,310. Is that our answer, or has something gone horribly wrong? It's too low. That's fine. Weren't expecting to solve it straight away, so that's fine. So I think it's just here. I don't think I'm wholly thinking out exactly what we need to do here. So maybe we just start debugging and we just have a look at what the crack is. We're calculating the points here. Oh wait, no, sorry, we're populating the count. We're converting that to a list. We're running through this. We're adding to the total. I reckon we pop a breakpoint here. That seems fair. And let's go. Okay, so we have, where are we? Scratch card in scratch card. So what's our scratch card? Okay, it has 10 matching numbers. Let's jump out of this, or maybe into this for loop. Yep. Into this for loop. Yep. Do you want to continue being notified? No, I don't. It's starting to get annoying. Okay, so I is 0. This is at position 1. This is scratch card with ID 1. This is scratch card with ID 1. Ooh. We don't want to... We don't want to look at the first scratch card though. We want to look at the next scratch cards. So I don't think we want to do -1. I think we want to do scratch card.id. So if it's at ID 1, we then want to start from position 1 because position 1 in the array is going to be actually ID 2. And then we want to go up to ID. So if ID is 1, we actually want to be less than or equal to that, I think. I think that's where I went wrong. Just the range was shifted. And if you remember, I said if there's anywhere where there's an error, that for loop is it. And I think I'm right on the money there. I know I've only spent like 2 seconds debugging that, but I don't. I'm just going to run this again, see if we get a higher number. I think it was 4310 last time. Out of range, sure, no worries. So what we're going to do is we are going to say if I is less than scratch cards dot count, then we're going to do this. Does count need those? Yeah, it does. Yeah, okay, exception. I get it. I get it. I'm sure we could do some maths to figure out when we should break this loop, but I'm just going to do that. In fact, if I is greater than or equal to scratchcards.count break, that is cleaner. Less if on the screen, okay? So we're going to break out of the loop if I ever becomes equal to or greater than scratchcards.count. Otherwise, we're just going to add to our total. Nice and clean. Apart from the double nested horrificness there. Anyway, we continue. 4185. That's actually lower. Didn't it say it was too low? Sure, it said it was too low. 4185. Advent of code, what are you saying? Too low. Yeah. That's what you said last time. Okay. Let's debug again. So let's jump, pop a breakpoint in here. And let's go. So, scratch card, ID of 1. We're starting on I is 1. Would kind of be handy to capture scratch cards at position I. So I might store that in a variable. So var additional card equals scratch cards I. Just for debugging purposes, it's going to make it easier to see and explore. Okay, let's refresh this. So additional card should be ID 2. It is. Fantastic. It's got 10 matching numbers. Oh. We need to go through each of these. I'm like right at the surface here. I'm way too small. Because we need to go to position 86, 7, 71 and grab all of them. My brain's getting wriggled. Hang on. Hold up. Okay. Card 1 has 4 matching numbers. Your copy of card 2 also wins 1 copy each of cards 3 and 4. You have 4 instances of card 3, 2 matching numbers, so you win 4 copies each of cards 4 and card 5. Your 8 instances of card 4 have 1 matching number, so you win 8 copies of card 5. Okay. Okay. We need a method that does this for us. If we pass it a scratch card, it then loops through and it gets our additional scratch cards. So we're gonna come down here and we're gonna say something like public what's it gonna be? We're gonna return an int, right? Public int. And I think we're gonna use recursion here. So we're gonna say get scratch cards, for lack of a better thing. We're going to pass in our array, our list of scratch cards. Oh, come on. Do the thing. Was that? Why don't you like that? List of scratch cards. Good. And we're going to call that scratch cards, and we're going to pass in a single scratch card called scratch card. Okay, cool beans. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, I'm going to cut it, I'm going to paste it into here. So this for loop, for I equals scratchcard.id, which is this, what we're going to pass in, I is less than scratchcard.id add scratchcard.matching numbers. If I then break, we need a total. var additional cards equals scratch cards I. Instead of adding its matching numbers, we actually need to call get scratch cards. Oh, I don't know what I did, but that's okay. So we're gonna call var additional cards equals no wait, but we need to actually add something. What do we need to add? I thought I knew what was going on then, and now I don't. Original card has 2, so you win 1 copy each of cards 3 and 4. Your copy of card 2 also wins 1 copy of cards 3 and 4. Your 4 instances of card 3 have 2 matching numbers, so you win 4 copies each of cards 4 and 5. Your 8 instances of card 4 have 1 matching number, so you win 8 copies of card 5. Your 14 instances of card 5 have no matching numbers and win no more cards. We need to return matching numbers. The like multiplicity of this is wriggling my brain a little bit. I think I'm like almost there. So we're going through if our scratch card has 2 matching numbers, we need to go and get those scratch cards. So we need to add to the total for every scratch card that we go through, right? So we're going to say total plus plus. We're going to say var additional card equals get scratch cards. I thought I'd misspelt it then, but that's just the end of scratch. Get scratch cards for scratch cards at position I. I wish I just called them cards. The word scratch has lost all meaning to me. That needs a semicolon. We don't need additional cards though. We're just gonna say okay, let's I put this in a variable just for debugging purposes. I'm going to keep it there. So we're going to come down here, get scratch cards, additional card. We're going to say total plus equals get scratch cards for those. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay. The power of technology saved me. Then we're going to return total. Likely not the most efficient way of doing this, but this is going to get us a much bigger number. The right number? Who knows? Who knows? Total plus plus. Total plus equals get scratch cards. We're going to pass in scratch cards, and we're going to pass in scratch card. And if you've lost the plot at this point, welcome to the club. Okay, console interface. Let's run it. Big number now. Big number. It's going to take a little bit more time because it's recursive. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. It's very recursive. We can see the process memory chugging up. The fact that it's taken more than like a couple of seconds means that this is not very efficient. I is less than or equal to scratch card. So if we had 0 matching numbers, this loop would never run. So there is like an endpoint to this. This is like exploding with data right now, which is why it's like really grinding out. I was thinking about doing something with like a dictionary, doing things iteratively. I've done it this way. I've committed, and hopefully we're going to get an answer. We're most likely going to get a ridiculously large answer. I was thinking about adding some like pre-processing before we got to the database just to make this quicker, but I don't think... I think we've nailed the database step this time. We've prepared the data, but we've not manipulated it too much. I feel like in part 3, I basically solved the puzzle in the data import step, and then in the actual puzzle solve step, I think I just added it up together. So yeah, wasn't really happy with the balance between the two sides of the program there. We're still going. We are still going. It's taken 2 minutes. This is slow. This is very slow. If this hits an error, it's going to be very annoying because it's got this far. It's going to be very, very annoying because then we'll have to wait another 2 minutes to test that it works again later on. Well, not even 2 minutes now. What are we at? 2.5. 2.5. If this takes much longer, I might start just refactoring the program while this is happening. There's one thing I want to do, which is add an Instantiator class. I don't know if it'll be easy to do while this is running. We'll know when the program stopped because this bar will basically just drop off. Be a lot less memory usage. Okay, let's just start. I don't have my... Oh, there it is, Solution Explorer. Can I bring you over here? Click and drag. Lovely stuff. Okay, what do I want? I want a new folder, new directory, and I'm going to call it... Oh, I don't get to rename it while the program's running. I literally don't get to rename it while the program's running. You got to be kidding me. Well, that's pants. Can I add a class at least? Yeah, okay. We'll change the new folder thing later. We're going to call this Instantiator. Instantiator.cs. And what this is going to do is it's going to instantiate new versions of our class. It's going to be really cool, really useful. I'm going to love it to death. And we need a little bit of code that I have copied from Stack Overflow prior to this. So we're going to say private static object with a question mark get instance. This is gonna help us create objects without like knowing their name. If you can imagine such power. We're gonna call this a string, and we're gonna call this fully qualified name. Fully qualified name. Program's still running. Still running. We're just going to crack on. We're just going to keep going. This is going to be called helpers, so I'm just going to rename it now to helpers. We'll rename new folder later. First thing we're going to do is we're going to say var type equals type with a capital T dot get type, and we're going to pass in that fully qualified name. We're then going to say if type does not equal null, then we are going to return activator dot create instance type, the activator, the instantiator. So good. Okay, if that's not the case, we're going to say for each var assembly in app domain dot current domain dot get assemblies round brackets. Inside that for each loop, we're going to say type equals assembly.getType fully qualified name. It's weird how it knows what I want to do. We're going to say if type does not equal null. My program is still running, which is so awkward. It did just drop a little bit of memory. Nope, it's still going. I can't believe it's going for this long. If type does not equal null, then we are going to return activator.create instance type. Otherwise, down here, we're going to return null. I can't believe this types like most of this out for me. That was amazing. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use this to instantiate new days and new importers. So you can see that we've got day 1 importer, day 2, day 3, day 4. We've got day 1 puzzle, day 2, day 3, day 4. It's annoying in the program having to be like, oh, now I'm on day 3 and I need to change this and I need to change that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this instantiator, which is going to make those classes for us. So what we're going to do is we are going to make a method called getImporter. It's going to be public. It's going to be static. And it is going to return an iPuzzle day. So this here, this interface. Because we don't, if we return a day 1 puzzle, we can only ever create day 1 puzzles, but all puzzles will be an iPuzzle day. So we're going to, hello? We're going to say public static iPuzzle day, and we're going to say instantiator dot instantiate puzzle day. Cool. We're going to ask for the day. So we're going to say int day. And then we're going to use our getInstance method. So we're going to say var instance equals getInstance. And we're going to pass it a string like this. And we are going to need to know where our puzzles live. So if we go to day 4 puzzle, our puzzle lives just in puzzle solutions. Cool. So it's going to be puzzle. Does it even live in puzzle solutions? I guess it does. Yeah, it does. It does. So the name of our project, Puzzle Solutions, if there was anything else there, if it was like dot such and such, then we'd copy that as well, but it's just Puzzle Solutions. So we can say Puzzle Solutions dot, and then each of these will be after it, right? So dot day 1 puzzle, dot day 2 puzzle. So we're going to say dot day something puzzle. I don't need .cs or anything after that, and I'm just going to put day in there. So day 1 puzzle, day 2, day 3, day 4. That's going to make us an instance of that. We're going to say, we're just going to do a quick check. If instance is null, so if we don't get anything, something's gone really wrong, and we're just going to throw a new exception. And we're going to say unable to create instance for day, and then this day, which is day. For day. If it's not null though, we're going to return our instance of our iPuzzle day. So we're going to return instance. And that is going to be not happy because it's like, oh, this is just some like random object. So I'm just going to convert that to an iPuzzle day so that it's happy. And now it's super happy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy that whole method. We're going to make some space. We're going to paste it down here. And instead of instantiate puzzle day, we're going to instantiate importer. Where do our importers live? Let's jump over to an importer. Our importers live in puzzlesolutions.database.data importers. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to jump back over to my instantiator and I'm going to get rid of puzzle solutions here, and I'm going to replace it with what I just copied. So puzzlesolutions.database.data importers dot, and then it is day n day something data importer. So we're going to say day something data importer. Okay, unable to create. So let's say importer instance for day and unable to create puzzle instance for day, just so that we can see the difference between those two. We're not going to. This isn't going to return an iPuzzle day. We don't actually have an interface for this, so we're going to need to make one now for our importers. Our importers all just have one method, and it's called import. So this is going to be a very simple interface. So I'm going to right click on data importers. I'm going to add a new class and I'm going to call it iData importer.cs. I think I can choose interface on here somewhere, but I'm just going to change it in here. So it's going to be an internal interface. Is it going to be internal? Little I on interface. I don't know if it is going to be internal, because we'll need to use this. Will we need to use this? Because the instantiator uses it. Let's leave it internal for now. We can always change it later. It's got one method, void import, and it takes nothing. So, and that's a public method, public void import. Now all of these need to now implement that. So we're going to put a comma after data importer base, and then we're going to say iData importer. Going to copy that. Going to do the same for all my other data importers, so they all use that interface. Are you complaining? Requires restarting. Okay, yeah, it's just saying that this won't update the code as it's running, but that's fine. We're not expecting it to. Still running. 12 minutes. Not cool. Not cool. I need to save all of these files that I've opened. I'm going to close them as well. That can go. That can actually go. Okay. That can go. Day 3 data importer. iData importer can go. We've sorted that out. Okay, so this is going to be returning an iData importer. It's going to be like, what? What's that? Control dot using puzzle solutions.database.data importers. Yep. And then instead of saying iPuzzleDay here, we're going to say iDataImporter. This isn't happy because, why? Because is less accessible. Okay, so we do need to change this actually to public. The more you know. So public, and that should fix that complaining. Yep. Okay, so now what we can do is we can instantiate days as and when we want them. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a import manager, and we're going to create a puzzle manager, and that's going to manage actually creating these and running these. So we're gonna in the database, I guess, we're gonna add a new class, and we're gonna call this database. No, import manager. Import data import manager. Data import manager .cs. It's gonna be public. I think it's going to be static. It's not very good to make static classes unless you know what you're doing. But sometimes you just gotta live your best life. This is still going. And we're going to have a method on here called import. So we're going to say, I think this is going to be static too. Static void public. It's going to be public. Static means that you don't have to create a new version of it. Which we don't really want to hold state, we just want to do something, right? Public void import. We're going to expect a day. And we're going to say, we are going to say Instantiator. Dot. Instantiate importer day. It knows. I'm going to say var importer equals instantiator dot instantiate importer. We're going to say importer import. Oh, it's beautiful. Okay, so we're going to create our importer. It's going to be one of these, depending on what day we pass in, and then we're going to import it. Now, this actually allows us to take another step towards making this code a little bit better. So before we import this, we can actually clear our database and ensure it's ready for us. Remember we were doing this where we say ensure deleted, ensure created. I can take all of this, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to come over to my data import manager, and before we import, I'm going to say using var_db context, ensure deleted, ensure created. I reckon we probably do that after we've instantiated the importer, just in case the importer doesn't get instantiated. We don't want to like wreck our database before we've got something that can then populate it. Now this will just import one day, but what if we wanted to import a range of days? Would we ever want to do that? Not really. Would be nice though. Would be nice. Let's do an import all method. So I'm going to say public static void import all. I'm going to say int limit, and we are going to say for var I equals 0, I is less than limit, I plus plus. We are going to say import I plus 1, because we don't have day 0. This is gonna keep deleting and creating it, so we actually don't want this here. So I'm going to make this private. We've got import all, and we're going to do that. and this is going to import. Or we're just going to have public static void import single day, which we're just going to pass a day, and all we're going to do is we're just going to call our private import method. Importer, why are you unhappy? Importer is not, okay, forgot a semicolon. Cool. So we've got two options. We can import all, we can give it a limit, so like 10, and then it'll import days 1 to 10. Or we can just import a single day. We're going to whack this in its own method. I've got private and public the wrong way around. I should probably have private methods below the public ones. Static void clear reset db, and we're just going to put that code in there, and then each time we do one of these we're going to reset the db. Reset db when we import a single day, and we're going to reset db when we import all. Cool. So we've kind of separated out our logic here a little bit. Let's move our public methods up to the top. We reset, we import. We reset, we loop and import. Two different behaviors there that we can choose from. And we're going to use a similar kind of thing for our puzzles as well. So we've got a data import manager. So we can literally, in our program now, we can say data import manager dot import all, and we could say 4, and it will import days 1, 2, 3, and 4 of their data into the database, and we'll have the most up-to-date copy of all of that data. Still not finished. Okay, we're going to do the same for the puzzle. So we're going to come over here. We're going to have a puzzle manager. I think we're just going to pop this loose in puzzle solutions. We're going to add class, and we're going to call it puzzle manager .cs. It's going to be a public class because we're going to want to use it in the console app. One thing I am thinking of actually is, because we've got the import manager, all of these importers now could be internal, and so could this. I think that's what I'm going to do. Is there a way I can do that quickly? Is there like a refactor, quick actions and refactorings? No. Maybe I've got less options while it's actually running code. So this is going to be internal. This is going to be internal. Is that going to complain? Might complain. We might have to do things, but that's okay. Internal, 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 and internal. So all of this is internal now because we don't actually access any of this from outside of the program. The only way we access our database code from our console interface project is using the data import manager. So nothing else gets touched. We turn it all to internal, it can't see anything. So if I come to program, open so much stuff, let's close this down. Come to program, you can see there it no longer can access day 4 data importer. It's like, sorry, it's out of my scope. Can access data import manager though, and we can give it a number. We can tell it how many days we want to import. Now we're going to kind of copy this, at least these 3, I guess. I'm going to copy those 3, come over to Puzzle Manager. This is called Puzzle Manager. And instead of import single day, we're going to say solve single day. We're going to say solve So instantiator dot instantiate puzzle day. That's the only thing we needed to change. Lovely. Instead of saying importer, we're going to say puzzle. I'm going to say puzzle dot solve part 1. And then okay, we're doing a little bit of logging. We're going to need to log this stuff, right? So in fact, we didn't add any logging to our thing either. So let's grab these lines. Let's go over to our data import manager, and where we say importer.import, let's replace that with this. So importer.import finished importing, so that we can actually see that something's happening. I'm going to do the same with our puzzle manager. So we're going to jump over to program. We're going to copy these lines. We're also going to write out what day it is as well, just so that it's really clear. So our puzzle manager, if I come down here, we're going to say var part 1 result. I really thought the program had stopped executing then. My heart was like, could it be? Don't worry, it's only been 24 minutes. I might have to just stop the stream and I'll let you know the result tomorrow. That's inefficient. That's inefficient as heck. Part 2 result equals puzzle.solve part 2, and what we're going to do is we are going to console.writeLine, and we are going to say $day, and then we're going to say puzzle. Now, because we've got a base class, there should be a day property on it. There isn't, because we made it private. So let's go over to our puzzle. Wait. It doesn't even know what day it is. That's okay. That's probably okay. We can probably pass that in, to be fair. Puzzle manager. Yeah, we're literally passing it in here. Okay, that's not a big deal. So we're going to do something like this. Let's do some hashes. Day, results. And then we're going to solve part 1, we're going to solve part 2. And then maybe just put in like a blank line. Maybe just like a \n here, just to give us a new line afterwards. So that solves a single day. Don't need to reset the database when we do that. Do we need to do anything? Probably not. I've got this. No, I haven't. So we'll just say solve day for this. And then we're going to say solve all. And we're going to give it a limit. We don't need to reset the DB. Don't need to worry about that. We're going to say solve I+1. So that's going to solve day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way up to the limit, whatever we give it. If we give it a day that it can't create, that doesn't exist, the instantiator is going to throw an error. So this is our puzzle manager. So now our program, we can say something like this. Var day equals 4. Data import manager dot import all day. Puzzle manager dot solve all day. And that is going to import all the data that we need, and it's going to solve all of the days up to and including day 4. And we don't need any of this code. So going forwards, this is what our main program is going to look like. We just have to change the day, and it's going to do all the stuff under the hood. As we add more things, we don't need to change how this works, because it's just plug and play. It just works. All we need to do is increment this number. I'm really glad we did that. That's going to be a big game changer. This hasn't stopped running. There is no way I'm going to carry on just streaming this into infinity. Um, I'm intrigued to see whether this actually. I'm at the point now of like the gambler's fallacy, the sunk cost fallacy, where I spent too long doing this to want to exit this, and so I'm just going to let it run. I'm going to see if I get an answer, see if I get it correct, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 5, and we'll find out whether this actually led to a solution. We'll also actually run this code and see if it works. It definitely will, but yeah, we'll see if it works. So thanks for watching this. I'm sorry you don't get to see part 2 getting solved. I've solved it. Maybe it's stuck. Maybe it's in an infinite loop. It's been half an hour. I'm gonna let it run for like an hour maybe, and I'll see. But it could be stuck. I don't want this to be like a super long crazy stream. So I don't think I'm gonna try and fix it now. Part of me wants to, but I think that will be a whole other rabbit hole. Let it run, see if it does anything, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 5. Thanks for watching.